was in an English class my senior year in high school. The English teacher, Mr. Liska, Jim Liska, said that if you do a final project, you don't have to study for the AP exam. And for some reason, I decided that I was going to do a rock opera about Beowulf. Beowulf was in like 1993, so it was probably like 7 or 8 years later. We officially decided to do one song per month, every month, to be released on the first of every month.
I mean, really, we were in college. He started just recording songs because it was what he loved to do.
And that was sort of a touchstone moment for me because I was a medical intern at the time. And I thought, like, now more than ever, I need to have this creative side have an outlet.
And even though he didn't want to make music his actual career, because he thought that that would make it too pressureful for him, he could hold himself to a standard.
The tendon, not the muscle. So the muscle comes down here, and it's basically from here to here, attaches at the wrist. So anywhere in that zone. I'm a neurologist. I work at the University of Michigan. I also have another role, which is I'm the director of the adult neurology residency program.
You get to pick two. Family,
My
friends, health, and
now
careers.
wife, then fiance, was kind of helping me out, and she found that University of Michigan had seen some of their residents had gotten board games as a welcome gift, kind of their interview, and I'm a huge board game nerd. And we later found out that like Zach had made all of these board games that we were giving out.
The one that I got is the Legion, which is probably the best learning game that I can think of. And when I played that with my wife, who knows no neurology, by the way, we were both kind of floored.
You know, when you're seeing patients as a doctor, you have to make a lot of decisions. You gather information, you hear their story, you examine them, and then you try to put together what might be going on, and then you decide what to do. And the what to do might be doing a test. It might be giving them a treatment. And then you see what happens. They get better, they don't. And that's kind of like playing a board game in many ways. You can't add new stuff to it. Do you also get to remove it? Okay.
Well, that was the...
I know. So what,
okay.
do you think that makes sense or not? I don't know.
Well, in other games that are similar to this, those are two separate moves. You take...
So in this game, you're traveling around trying to basically reduce the amount of plaque or stenosis that is building up in those blood vessels before you cause a stroke. And the educational component is to actually sort of treat this. You have to understand different aspects of what we do to prevent stroke, so medications and interventions. You have to understand the names of the arteries and where they are. You have to know what are the syndromes, what are the symptoms and signs that you would get if you had a stroke in that artery. So it's a cooperative game where people basically walk around and use their knowledge of those things to prevent disaster from happening in those.
Medical students are an anxious bunch. They feel everything they say or do is going to be judged. They feel that if they make a mistake, it looks bad. Zach breaks all of that. The definition of play is you're going to stumble on things and make mistakes on things in a game, and suddenly now it's a game. It's not, oh, suddenly you're a bad student. I think that carries over into his teaching as well.
He demonstrated us in a session how to teach by performing this wild rap song.
It's from pick two. So maybe my gym shoes have really not been used.
He gave this kind of, I wouldn't say speech, but this really impactful, important kind of plea to us.
Continues, so I attack the track and practice abs and back stacks.
Things like this, like that performance he just did, take effort. Things like teaching take effort, and if you want to be really, really good at it, you have to put in the work and you have to try.
The grace to face the basic fact that self-actualization is actually a fundamentally selfish act.
Here we have these ridiculous looped drums that sound like this. Even with a little scratch there.
Sally used to rally and protest Vietnam.
Sally used to rally and protest Vietnam, rhyming Sherm with Vietnam. It was originally going to be Officer Tom, and she used to protest Vietnam. That would have made a lot more sense, but I actually thought it would be funnier because this had sort of a country vibe to it, to just mispronounce Vietnam and then come up with something that rhymes with the mispronounced word.
I think the stereotype of creative people is sometimes that they're like really like, yeah, whatever, anything goes. But you know, Zach's creative, but he has exactly in his mind what he's going for.
I find that I'm not great about working with other people on the writing process, but I love working with other people on the recording process. It's something I wish I could do more of.
Well, sometimes he's like, yeah, we can get a kid in there if, you know, he knows something about an instrument. You know, when can he show up and like play the instrument a little bit in the Hard Taco song?
I told him, you know, if you ever need an extra voice, I'm always here. I'd love to help. And he took me up on it one day and he said, yeah, come on over, I could use a voice.
Lauren London, my wife, has been the most prominent collaborator. She has probably been on, I can't even estimate, hundreds of songs.
There are a couple projects that I'm particularly proud of, mostly because I feel like I rock really hard, and I didn't know I could do that.
But I've had some really fun and memorable collaborations with my nephew and niece, Micah and Shayna Wolkenberg, have both been on several songs. My kids, quite a bit. Scarlett has lent her voice to probably 10 or 15 songs. Malcolm, probably almost as many.
And I love to hear their participation as much as I love to hear my own. When Scarlett graduated from high school, he wrote her a song, and it's so beautiful, I can't listen to it without breaking down into tears.
I think a lot of it is about how parents do everything they can to prepare their children for the world after them, for what the world's going to be like when they're out on their own, when they're having to sort of tell their own story, when they're having to find their own way. And they take a little part of us with them when they go do that. And a lot of that part that they take with them is not necessarily all positive. You know, we like to think that we are imparting nothing but wisdom on our children. And I think a part of that song is about a lot of the lessons that they learn from us. Some of them are wise, and others are silly or inappropriate or biased or carry with them some sort of baggage.
When my brother-in-law passed away, Zach marked that time with a beautiful song too.
People still don't necessarily think about game-based learning when they think about learning. And I'm trying to change that, and I'm trying to get other people to realize this is something they can do.
I think it's in all of us a little bit, that the creativity, that drive to like do something special and teach and learn in a special way.
Don't for a second think that because you're involved in STEM or because you're involved in science, you can't be creative. There's a hunger for that, and in fact, there's a void. Right? I think in the scientific community, people still respond to creativity. They respond to creative teaching.
I think when he puts his mind to doing something, he accomplishes it. And he really, that is just part of who he is. It's part of his DNA. And the Hard Taco Project, I think, maybe is the best example of that.
I hate Comic Sans, down with Comic Sans. You keep asking me why, saying you can change, but I don't think you understand.
God, I wish I knew what drove Zach.
It's the Chevy Malibu. This car goes hard.
Freud said it, but I said it too, so we gotta give the credit where the credit is due. Is it nature, nurture? It's all the same. Either way, your parents are the ones to blame. We got the school psychologist on the phone saying someone doesn't get enough attention at home. Is it nature, nurture? It's all the same.